But here's the side that I risked, and it seems like I did a pretty decent job. I mean, it looks good. Everything's nice and flush. Yeah. Can't even catch a fingernail. The weld that I made was right around here, and you can see that it's pretty damn good. And this is the back side. I need to get in there with a smaller grinder, like for corners, and buff this side out. But as you can see, this is nice and flush. Seems like one solid piece actually, and that was my goal, was to make it almost impossible to tell that this was a welded on hat end. Today is part 2 of putting on the Napoleon hat end. So I learned this from, forgot where, I think maybe J-Bugs, but pretty much I just put the new part on top of the old part. That helps kind of keep it fixed. But please note that this marcation line that I drew was actually created from measuring where the hose would be. Okay, so it's I didn't eyeball it, but you can see it's pretty damn close. So right now that this part is fixed, I'm gonna grab a cutting wheel and make the cut. Check back with you soon. So if you can see, the holes are aligned, right? But you see that the surfaces don't match up good enough, and I think the reason that is when I first cut the original metal, I kind of had to do multiple, I couldn't follow the same route that I was on, mainly because of the rise of the Napoleon hat here. So when I positioned my grinder, I didn't take into account that once I started progressing this way, the cutting, the cutting wheel is moving forward, but the head of the motor of the grinder is here. But what I'm gonna do now is I always give myself a little bit of room. So you can see that on the left side, I have actually a little room to play with. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna grind this side, because again, this side is kind of perfect. I'm gonna grind this side down, and then after that, I'm gonna make my hole punches so that we can do the plug. And guys, this is how the right side came out. Pretty nice, actually. Let me focus it. I had to go in there with a cone-shaped grinding stone to kind of get into this radius. Actually pretty nice. It's real smooth. There's some grinding here to flatten out this side of the Napoleon hat. And when you butt them up, you get a pretty good matchup. Pretty good mate. And I wanted to show you guys something. So right there, that looks pretty good, right? A butt weld can take care of that. Here, I'll talk about this side in a second, but you can see that the gaps are pretty good. And right there too. Now if you notice, and this is what I'm talking about this side, kind of rocks, right? Well, the reason it rocks is because this metal here is actually a little bit high. I don't know if they do that on purpose, just to be on the safe side. But I actually had to do the same on that side. I had to grind this sheet metal down. This kind of like a figure eight down. So once you do that, it's gonna rest on this, but it won't be rocky. By the way, I forgot to mention that sometimes this piece will kind of be, it will seem as if it's narrower than the original Napoleon hat. And one thing they do, and I tried it with success on that side, is just kind of put it on top of this part, and then with the rubber mallet, you can like lightly tap it, and what that'll do is it'll expand. It'll open this guy up so that when you put it on, you're not only flush across, but you're also flush on the sides. It's the same width. And I think we're ready to punch holes here, punch starting holes here, and drill out holes just for the plug welding. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm not gonna make a video on that. Pretty boring. Just making holes here. But anyway, the reason I'm using the center punch is just so that the drill bit won't walk on me. Not a lot of free play here. Not a lot of tolerance for making mistakes here. You don't want your bit too long. So that's where I'm at, guys. That's a clean surface for welding. That's how you want it to look. Make sure it's still flush. Let me just crank it down just a little bit here. Yeah, that's a lot nicer. Really great over here. This is perfect. Alright. Alright, so just finished putting the first few sets of butt weld spots. Take a look. That's what I have right there. But the metal's pretty warm still, so I'm gonna just let it cool down before I continue laying those dimes. Looks a lot better than when I did it on the right hand side. So definitely making progress. Place the first plug weld on the right hand Napoleon hat end. There it is. There it is. And initially these two pieces of metal weren't even in contact, and now they are. So pretty decent. It's fighting against the previous configuration of the two sheet metals being slightly apart. Oh, and another thing, I was just realizing that somebody might ask how I went about doing the plug weld. Now let me show you. What you need to do is make sure that the wire reaches to the bottom edge, not the top. This is the top edge. The bottom edge is the inside edge of the hole. And what I do is I actually start from the outside and circle my way in. Right, that's what I do. I don't start from the center. there was this one guy that said start from the center, but I saw a bunch of other videos that said start from the outside. So I start from the outside, I just start tracing the edge and ever so slightly going inside the middle, and then once I'm in the middle, I kind of release. Whew. All done, but not everything is complete yet, and by that I mean I still have to grind these babies down. But for now, it is done. Let me show you my results. Most of it is good. About 95% of it is good. But the other, I said 95, so the other 5%. So let's see. Let me know what you guys think. Here we go. So this is the right-hand side, or the front passenger side. Let me start from the most forward side. So these came out pretty good. These were I believe the 5/16 that I had a bunch of practice with, and it shows. The plug is barely over the top, so it'll be easy to grind it down. But then the ones that were smaller, I think the 3/16 one, I didn't really have that much practice with it, but I pretty much just decided to leave the MIG welder point in the center and pretty much let the feed rate of the MIG welder populate the hole. So I kind of realized it wasn't as necessary to do a circular motion. If you just leave it in the center, you're pretty much leaving the heat source in one spot, therefore guaranteeing some fusion, and at the same time, as you continue feeding in the wire, the puddle is naturally filling the hole. I'll get to this ugly guy in a minute. These guys, they don't look so pretty, but the reason is, you can kind of tell here, the sheet metal came longer than the parent metal. So the holes that I made here were overlapping. They didn't have any structure inside. So I did my best to just fill them in. And what I'm going to do is pretty much trim this section. After grinding it down, I'm going to trim it. And so it'll look like I did a plug weld. Now, on to the right side. Again, the front side was easy because I had a ton of practice with the 5/16. These sides, they came out real nice because, as you can see on the bottom here, the holes did have underlying structure. So the weld pool was able to rest and fuse with the underlying base metal. All done. Check it out. Woo! Oh man, look at that. Man, look at that. Oh man, first welding project complete. Look at that. Look at that. Man, oh man.